I have a book out on Amazon. It was #1 last week at Amazon in mathematics for any of you people in science or theology. I am running as a Blue Dog traditional Democrat, a Bobby Kennedy Democrat, and a America First Democrat. I do not want any independent votes that are here for my friends that are independent. I do not want any Republican votes to my friends that are Republican. In fact, I'm really close with David Kallenberg, who should be definitely involved at the agricultural area in California. Yeah. So what's important about me, I think, is as a Democrat, you really got to learn what's happened to the liberals. They've been run over by the atheist Marxist mafia. It's that simple. They're riding bikes with them, and they don't want to. They're looking for a leader. If you're a liberal or you're a Republican or an independent and you have friends that are Democrat, you introduce them to Scott Shields' website. I'll pick up the phone with anybody. I'll fly anywhere to meet anybody, and I'll email anybody. I work my own campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. That's awesome. Okay, you can actually give that to David. And I just want to touch on something that, thank you. I want to touch on something, Scott, that you brought up that is really important. There is one Democrat in the House today that is on the stage. We've got Republicans, we've got NPPs, and one Democrat. Every Democrat was invited that you saw on that flyer that went out. They were personally invited multiple times. So I just want to acknowledge you for being here. And I want to acknowledge every single one of you for being here. Okay, so thank you. Now we're going to go move that over. Louis Herms, you're next.
Hello, Louis Herms, running for governor. I think first and foremost, you have to understand your enemy if you're going to defeat the enemy. And this was an enemy that went after us with COVID. We can't play games with it. This was a plandemic for sure. I can tell you that in 2020, I did a 9-minute film called The Big COVID Lie. Almost destroyed my life. 9 minutes, because we were on top of it, because I figured out that in 2009, the 3 top dictionaries all had the word pandemic would show you that it's virtually people dying in the streets. By the way, all those dictionaries were changed in 2009 and says, just defer to your 3-letter agency and they'll let you know what a pandemic is. You can read it up today. This was planned. We have to understand this. We also have to understand that a mandate is not law. A mandate was enforced not by the government, but by the corpocracies, the corporations that took that dog whistle in and said, we will enforce it for you, Mr. Newsom. Think about that. We have to be educated. And you need somebody in there that understands the issue, number one, and then somebody like myself that's willing to absolutely clean house from A to Z. We cannot use any of the established people that were in there that were part of the problem in the first place. And I can tell you there's so much talent and so much intelligence that can bring us into a new era that we will restaff like that. Understand that as soon as Bobby Kennedy started doing good things with the CDC, Gavin Newsom helped form the West Coast Healthcare Alliance. Think about that. Because it was a slap in the face to Secretary Kennedy who's doing it right. So we will absolutely clean house, and that is the most important thing.
Thank you, Louis. Next up, David Kallenberg, Lieutenant Governor.
Well, first thing, because I'm getting up to work, I got to roll up my sleeves.
Get that mic nice and close.
Hold the mic close to your mouth.
Sleeves, right?
Right there, buddy.
Sleeves are coming up.
Right there,
They're
right?
coming up.
Okay, I'm ready to work. So I'm Siskiyou County farmer, David Kallenberg, your next Lieutenant Governor. The pandemic was crazy. I'm not vaccinated, thank God. But, you know, people driving around with masks in their cars, going to the beach by themselves, having to have a mask, craziness. And closing all their businesses down. I met a guy yesterday at an event that owned a barber shop, and he fought Gavin Newsom, lost his barber's license because he stayed open for business. And that was BS. Uh-oh.
Just grab the one in front of you. Okay.
Am I back? All right.
Yes, sir.
Nope, this one's gone too.
That's working.
Testing,
Good.
testing.
Sorry. So, you know, if I'm lieutenant governor, I don't have a lot of say in firing all these people and whatever, but I'll sure influence it. I'll sure be knocking on the governor's door to get rid of all these people that are doing all the BS to us. So we're not gonna be riding around with masks in our car alone or going to the beach with a mask on when there's nobody for 1,000 feet. It's insane. So the crazy Democratic policies, we're done with it. So thank you guys.
Thank you. You can pass that to Christine beside you. Thank you, David. All right. Sean Collinson.
How's everybody doing?
Sean, tell us who you're running for.
I'm Sean Collinson. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I'm a no-party preference candidate. How y'all doing today? Well, thanks for being here. Thank you for having me. A lot of my friends on the stage. So I'm a mediator, and I'm also an FBI-trained hostage negotiator. So you're the mediator to Sacramento. Now, one thing about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I worked with him for 2 years on the Children's Defense Fund. So everything these great folks up here are talking about, I know a lot about. The pushing and the pandering of the vaccine was just wrong. Everyone up here that's saying, fire everyone, I'm a joinder. I agree with that. Parents should have control of how they're vaccinating their kids. They shouldn't be doing it. We should not be doing that. The MAHA movement is great. We need to spread more education. Like my friend Lewis said, it's all about education. I find that they push it in the neighborhoods that don't even have the education. As a mediator, going to Sacramento as your next lieutenant governor, my role is to get the red and the blue in some room, negotiate between the two of them, pull the find common ground, and do what works for the people you elect. Stop playing politics as usual. No more of this find the money on your tax dollars. It is very important. Sending a mediator to Sacramento this November is crucial. You have one opportunity to get someone that goes in to cut a deal that you can live with. We carry California on our backs. We're being scammed, we're being played, and our money's going out the window, and then the blame game happens. So we have a choice.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, thank you. You can pass that mic back over. Good, good, good. All right, so let's go over to Chris. Do you need to be re-presence to that question at all? Are you ready to go?
Chris Bish.
Chris Bish.
Oh, I'm ready.
For Congress, let's go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christine Bish, and I'm a candidate for Congress in California's 3rd Congressional District. Now, we're hearing from a lot of great people here today talking about what they're going to do when elected over MAHA and the unconstitutional lockdown. Well, I can tell you, as the only person in this room that's actually done something about it. I sued Gavin Newsom over the unconstitutional lockdown. I took him on with Harmeet Dillon as my attorney. Wow. And we were winning in the Ninth Circuit Court. And in there, what happened was, I was applying for a permit. I just wanted to have a rally. I was running for Congress and couldn't go knocking on doors. I couldn't have rallies. I couldn't have events. So they were interfering with a federal election. So I decided, after a March 1st event out at the Capitol, that I was going to have my own. So I applied for a permit, and I was turned down. Because I refused to comply with the restrictions that if I were to have a rally, that everyone would distance 6 feet apart, that everyone would wear a mask. Children from different families would not be allowed to play together. Now, I'm an investigator. I spent 10 years in a law firm, and I would never agree to that contract. So my response was to sue Gavin Newsom, sue the Secretary of State and the Department of Health for the state of California, and I can tell you right now how that case ended up. We were winning in the Ninth Circuit, and Gavin Newsom released us. And that's because his only chance to take me on was to go before the Supreme Court. You're welcome. And that is the fight that you're going to get from me, whether it's in California or Washington, D.C. I do not take no for an answer.
Thank you.
It just means try harder.
Thank you, Chris Bush for Congress. Thank you, thank you. All right, next up we've got E.B. Lynch running for Lieutenant Governor.
Well, thank you. Well, hello, California. My name is E.B. Lynch, and I'm running to be your California Lieutenant Governor. I'm going to take time, as I always try to do, and give my papa some time. So, if it's okay, I'm going to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to speak your word, Lord. Everywhere I go, it's not me that I want to be seen, it's your Holy Spirit. So please, Holy Spirit, take over right now and say what needs to be said. So,
Amen.
I think it's atrocious that in a nation where we have a constitution that says when we want to go to God, he never forces us, but we had immunizations. Why? Because we never know how it's going to happen. Any type of drug. Once you put something into your body, you don't control work unless you took a jab. I was appalled. Told me that if I didn't take the jab, at the time I said, okay, I don't want to work. I don't like this job anyways. God gave me this job. I'm sorry, Lord, but I'm done. But I knew that there was Johnson & Johnson to this day. But what it did is convince me that we have to know that their rights are their rights.
Thank you.
And I will fight for you.
And next up, we can pass the good help.
Pleasure to be with you today. And Kim, thank you for including. I'm a member of Calvary Christian. We're the one church that Santa Clara went after and fined over and over again. They geo-tracked the members of that church and does run through this office. How much? I have no idea because I'm not in there, because the treasurer is basically a figurehead, Supreme Court. I hope we win, because Californians, elderly that were in nursing homes, and I would not have been able to get in and see them, and they were dumb, but I know a lot of friends who have. When I get in as California State Treasurer, one of the things, it's not about me, it is about us, and that's why my website is Hawk.
Phenomenal job. They certainly did. Well done, MAHA leaders. Who's up next?
Kurt Collins, I believe.
Yes, who's up next, Kurt? Your question. Let's get you a microphone. I'm coming. I'm coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for that. So as a physician practicing in California for over 2 decades, I've seen a shift from a system once encouraged clinical judgment innovation, one where doctors increasingly feel constrained in what they can say or recommend, even when acting in their patient's best interest. Even before COVID and now beyond it, many physicians face pressure, scrutiny, or even threats to their license, not for harming patients, but for offering alternative perspectives or treatment options outside of government-endorsed protocols. Meanwhile, states like Idaho and Florida are passing legislation that prohibit most vaccine and medical mandates across government, employers, schools, and businesses. This protects both the patients and the physicians from discrimination based on personal medical decisions. So my question for you guys is this: do you support similar legislation in California that would restore personal medical freedoms back to the parents, patients, and the doctors? And what will you do to protect physicians' right to practice based on their training, experience, and evolving science without fear of regulatory retaliation?
Very good. Great question. Let's pass that mic, Jennifer, over to Chris Bish. Chris? Okay. Right beside you. Chris, let's go first.
Okay. I'm going to tell you exactly about
tell him
this.
who you're running for. What are you running for?
This is Christine Bish. I'm running for California's 3rd Congressional District. Now, what we're talking about is the mandates. And this is something that I did fight. And I'm going to tell you, I did get COVID, and my doctor lost his license for prescribing me ivermectin. And he took care of a lot of other people and was forced to leave the state. This was reprehensible. I was one of the lucky people that didn't have to get the vaccine, that stood up against the governor, stood up against the government, and said no. The mic's gone.
Mic's go.
I don't need a mic. But just to let you know, I've stood up to this. I watched my doctor lose his license for the giving me alternative treatments. And now what we are seeing across the state and across this country is people suffering from the consequences of being forced to take the vaccine. That's one of the things that I fought for when I sued the governor, and that is one of the things that I will fight for, to change federal legislation and protect our right to choose.
Thank you, Christine. Mic on, please. Thank you, Christine Bish. And Christine, you can pass
Remember,
that to
these are 1
David.
minute. These are 1 minute.
What was that?
Just reminding these guys it's 1 minute.
It's 1 minute. Yes, thank you, Doug. So these are 1 minute rounds. You did a great job. Hang on with that mic right there. And we're going to go now the opposite direction. So Jennifer, we're going to go to Jennifer. We're going to go from the inside out. We can get that mic back to her. Fantastic. Jen, say who you are and who you're running for each time.
Jennifer Hawks, I'm running for California State Treasurer. Wow. Can we repeat the question?
Do you support laws?
Do I support what?
Do you support legislation like in Florida?
Absolutely. I think that we should not have to have anything put into our bodies that we don't need to, and I'm going to reflect back on my little granddaughter. This is not really a COVID, but this just has to do with all of the vaccines that are out there. When she was maybe 3 months old, maybe 6 at the most, one of her vaccine sessions, she had 6 vaccines at the same time. 3 months old. I mean, I think that is just absolutely outrageous that we are doing this to our children, and we are seeing more and more of the results of pumping all this stuff into our kids. I think the time is now. As we're moving into this midterm election, we make sure our voice is very loud and very clear that we are taking our medical freedom back, and we mean business. And I am all for making sure that that works its way all the way up to the federal level, because this state has, I think, way overstepped. Thank you, Jennifer Hawks.
Fantastic, excellent. And you can give that to E.B. Stand by, E.B. We're going to come on over to David Kallenberg, and then we'll go to you, E.B.
David Kallenberg, running for Lieutenant Governor. I have 6 kids. You are not, I don't care what law, mandate you pass, you're not forcing me to do anything to my kids that I do not want to do or approve of, ever. And anyone that stands beside me, I will back them up 110%. So, not going to happen on my watch.
Fantastic, thank you. You can pass that to Scott, and let's pop up E.B. Lynch.
Okay, yes. So I know I only have 1 minute. So just like I said before, there should never be a time that the government is forcing us to put anything into our bodies. So yes, most definitely, not only will I support legislation, but once I'm in there, I'm going to help draft the legislation, because we were giving bodily autonomy by God, and only God can take that away. We should never have a government that says, hey, I know better than you, parent, what your child should have. We know now, because of the great work that's being done at the federal level, that a lot of those immunizations, so-called immunizations, have caused autism. And we can do better. We must do better. And that means that every single one of us has to stand up, because when I didn't stand up, I paid the price. So that we don't pay the price, our children don't pay the price, and the next generation will actually reap from us being able to do the right thing. So yes, I will support it.
Fantastic, thank you, E.B. E.B. Lynch, running for Lieutenant Governor. Scott Shields.
Scott Shields, I'm running for governor as a Democrat at shieldsforgovernor.com. I like potatoes, so I will definitely follow Idaho. Okay? Without a doubt, I'll follow Idaho. I like Idaho, by the way. The other thing, so that answers that question. I didn't answer the first question very good. I apologize for that. But I think it's very important, education. I've met some very sharp people here. Daniel, constitutional education is a big deal. We need a California public broadcasting system. When I was in D.C., we didn't want to get rid of Voice of America. We wanted to fix it. Carrie Lake and many that you probably know and are around. I started a private sector Voice of America. It's doing well overseas. We're doing very well. We need a California public broadcasting system. It's who runs things that matter, not the system. Okay, we do need government, and we do need regulation, not crazy regulation that we all know about, or mandates, but we do need education, and the media will not tell the truth. There's no media out there that will tell the truth. I can't get an interview with anybody.
Excellent, thank you, Scott. And Kurt Collins, and Dr. Kurt, would you you did great, Scott, by the way. Would you just represent us to the question, because our audience, it's always good to ask that question again.
Yeah, no problem. So Idaho's really led the way with repealing the mandates. Florida's coming on board. We have a bunch of other states on board. So I think what Californians want to know, especially those that have dealt with vaccine-injured kids like many of us or know it, do you support our individual rights, and what specifically are you going to do when you get in office to make that happen? And it's a tall battle. We know it's a huge battle to overcome what's been put in place.
Fantastic. All right. So we had Scott. Sean Collinson, you're up.
Sean Collinson, running for Lieutenant Governor. Look, my friend Gary, senior citizen, Gary was working out in the gym every single day. Gary was 68. He then went and took the vaccine. We didn't see Gary for a while. Gary got sick. 3 months later, he passed away. No one should be forced to put anything in their bodies that they don't want in their bodies. So medical freedom, I support legislation for that. I support everyone on this stage. I will stand with you. You can contact me if you need someone to stand with you. We have to take action. Education is a part of this. This is a profit-seeking thing they're doing to us, and it's not fair at all. We have to be educated, we have to be smart, we have to educate our family, our friends. No one should be mandated to put anything in their bodies that they don't want.
Preach.
Thank you, Sean. Running for Lieutenant Governor. And up next, let's pass that mic, Scott, Elaine Culotti.
I hope this thing has a lot of juice. Hi. No, I needed longer than a minute. California is built on unfunded mandates. For any of you guys who don't understand what that is paying back donors. Unfunded mandates, SB 79, unfunded mandates, Prop 50, unfunded mandates, sanctuary cities, unfunded mandates, vaccines, unfunded mandates, most importantly, all of the stuff that happens in education that you do not want your kids to do, like little boys in little girls' locker rooms. These are unfunded mandates. You should know that there is a 15-year wait and $2 billion of unfunded mandates not paid back to cities by Sacramento. And there is no world that these guys are going to get the money. And it is dividing small cities from the constituents that vote them into office. I can tell you, unfunded mandates stop. We do not have you cannot pay for. Right. That is illegal.
Thank you, Elaine.
We can
for governor.
Louis Arms, run for governor. Right. Real quick, so my mom has had a lifetime cardiologist problem, and her cardiologist actually told her the one good thing is you will never, ever, ever, ever have blood clots. Your blood is the cleanest blood I've ever seen. She took the vaccine, died shortly after of blood clots, massive blood clots. This is near and dear to my heart, but here's the reality, right? Of course, no mandates, right? But we must absolutely hold the pharmaceuticals accountable and get rid of anything that they do, right? But we can take it to a whole nother level. So I would support even more legislation to inform consent, where your patient they're getting into, including the side effects.
For governor, more legislation, we got to create more laws. We have to negotiate with the people first place. So one of the things that we already look at is, again, go back to the Constitution, right? If we look at a number of court cases, one of my favorites, still standing to this day, Marbury versus Madison. That means that all laws that are repugnant to the supreme law of the land are null and void. So then you have to go back to what the governor do that can bypass the legislative body without having to do any negotiations, is make what's called a... That's how this works. And so really, when it comes down to it, your health, your freedom, your choice, your body, it also falls under privacy. It's not anybody's business, your job, your child's school, or anybody else to know what you have or have not injected into your body, and therefore vaccines are needs to be thrown out.
Thank you, Daniel Mercury. And last but not least on this round, Greta Solorzano for governor.
Well, thank you. And Jennifer, now I understand your question and where we're going with all of this. Okay, so the very first thing is I do definitely support legislation that is actually going to give parents the right to choose. I do remember having to give anywhere between 20 to 30 vaccines to my kids. And one day when we have more time, we'll talk about that. But parents have the right to choose. The second one, understanding associated with each and every one of our decisions. Now, I do understand that it's significant, and there was a lot of abuse, and there were some drugs companies involved in it. However, one of the things is that this was the very first time for a very, very long time that we had a pandemic. What we need to develop is we need to develop policies for us to understand how we're going to. We can put all the legislation together if we want to. However, we need to have processes in place that will help us decide.
Greta. Thank you very much, Greta. All right, guys, we just finished round 2. Let's give them a round. Excellent work, you guys. Okay, we got somebody up next. Ronald Owens.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, the Californians were told that the COVID-19 vaccines were, quote, safe and effective. According to metalerts.org, as of March 27th, 2026, there were 97,395 COVID-19 vaccine injury cases in California.
How many?
97,395 people here in California submitted entries that they've been injured by the COVID-19 vaccine. Sadly, 762 Californians died from the COVID-19 vaccines, and these are conservative estimates. Add a couple zeros to that figure, those figures, that's the real figure. If you were elected, how would you address this humanitarian issue? What steps would you take to ease the suffering of those injured by the vaccines? And isn't it time for the state of California to establish its own vaccine injury monitoring system?
All right, Doug, I think we got to pause this.
Okay.
Because we just hit a ding, 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 ding. Like, we got to bring something to the table here. Doug?
Can you switch to my computer?
We're going to switch over to Doug's computer real quick. Now, Doug, let's just give a little bit of background because there's something you want to share right now. That question's a key ingredient to what you're going to discuss. You have a background in
vaccines.
In vaccines. So tell us a little bit about that real quick, and then.
So before I was the Johnny Appleseed of election integrity, what brought me into the popular attention across the country nationally was that I was modeling the COVID epidemic in every county in America and in 30 countries. I also traveled throughout the Midwest for about 10 years lecturing on vaccines. How about that? So here we go. I'm a modeler. And I model everything. I model sunspots, I model epidemics, I model climate. And I was very popular in Ohio. People made a joke about it. They said, Dr. Frank has a graph for everything, you know? And I don't just model the surface, I get right to the bottom of things. Okay. But I model longevity. I make it easy for people to understand. I can show you how long you're going to live and the population demographics. You can even see over there on the right, you can see the bump due to COVID, the deaths in our country. The thing that got me the most attention, though, is that when the COVID stuff started happening, people would say, well, gee, Dr. Frank, should we take the vaccine? Oh, by the way, I got the health director of Ohio fired. I exposed that she was lying. She was reclassifying. See, I was modeling everything, and I could predict every state in the country. I could tell you in every county how many people were going to die every week.
Oh, guys, somebody's on feedback back there. We're getting Mike from the back of the house.
Is that all right? Okay.
There we go.
Sorry.
And Doug, hang on one second. So we've got Steve Hilton on the Zoom on standby, so we can bring Steve in and put him up, Steve on the screen. Okay, fantastic. But let's go back to the graph first with Doug. So I want Steve to be able to hear this, though. So let's pull that.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. And back to you, Doug,
So
and the graph.
The biggest shock to me is I was able to predict all around the country. Suddenly I couldn't predict Ohio anymore.
Can you hear me? It's Steve here.
Hey, Steve, can you hear us okay? Can Steve hear us?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear that, Stephen?
Steve, can you hear us? Hang on.
I got you, yeah, hi.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
fantastic.
We'll have
hey,
you on in a
Steve,
second.
we're so glad you're here. So, Steve, you just came in on a question. So, we're going to go back to that question in just a moment. And Doug Frank, Dr. Douglas G. Frank, is representing us to Doug. I'm going to pass it over to you.
Right. So what happened was I discovered that the the health director of Ohio was lying. And we exposed that, and that's how we got her fired. What she was doing, she was reclassifying deaths from 6 months earlier as current deaths, and that's why my models quit working in Ohio. They were working everywhere else, so we exposed that. Anyway, she's running for governor now. People have a short memory span, I guess. But I was modeling excess deaths and whatnot. But the reason this is important is because the question is asking, what are we going to do with all these people that have been injured? Okay, and that is a real issue. What got me thrown off the internet was I made this graph. I showed the risk versus time. In other words, if you're going to have informed consent, you need to say to somebody, imagine you line up 1,000 people and you say, we're going to give each of you a scoop of peanut butter, okay? And then somebody's going to have a shock reaction, an allergic reaction to it. Imagine if you line up 1,000 people and inject them with something, okay? You're going to have even worse issues. The definition of safe and effective is, according to the official definition, is 1 injury per million vaccinations. That's the official definition. And Ron just said that there were 97,395 injuries in the state and 762 deaths.
762.
I mean, this is like far beyond. But the thing is the reason this is important is because the numbers show that our government was lying to us. And the numbers show that the problem is far worse than that. We all know how that turned out. It was not a good result. But if you do a graph showing the number of deaths reported by VAERS, the national setup for vaccine injury, you can see there's been a huge surge in the reports and then the excess expenses. I have a graph for everything. The excess expenses that, you remember all the people were saying, gee, after the vaccines, we're expecting all these turbo concerts. People were saying things like that. Well, here are the numbers. There's massive surges in this. So this is a real question. People are really dying from this, and we would expect it, even if the vaccine was a good vaccine, even if the jabs, which weren't really vaccines, there was only one, the J&J was the real vaccine. The other two were just, they were therapeutics, they call them. So even if they were good, we should expect some consequences. Even if they were safe and effective, we should expect some consequences, but this is far beyond that. So the question is how do we, if you guys are elected into office, what is your responsibility? What is your duty to these injured people? That's what you're basically bringing up. Because the government made a choice to take away your choice and force you to do something that injured you. What is your responsibility as elected officials? Yes?
So good, so good. Now, let's bring Steve Hilton back up on the screen, and let's have you ask that question. Steve, you can hear me, yes?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay.
Hello, Steve. This is Ron Owens Jr., the California Department of Public Health whistleblower. Californians were told that the COVID-19 vaccines were safe and effective. According to medalerts.org, as of March 27th, 2026, there were 97,395 COVID-19 vaccine injury cases in California. And from that number, sadly, 762 Californians died from the COVID-19 vaccines. And I noted earlier that this is conservative estimates. If you were elected, how would you address this humanitarian issue? What steps would you take to ease the suffering of those injured by the vaccines? And isn't it time for the state of California to establish its own vaccine injury monitoring system? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be part of it. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. The aspect of the MAHA agenda is something I've been passionate about for years, for more actually, and so I'm really, really proud and honored to be part of it. Specifically on vaccines, I just want to point out that I was the first to challenge right at the beginning of the whole thing. We've been working with Jay Bhattacharya at Stanford, some of the epidemiologists who later went on to, from the beginning of the lockdowns, right back to February 2020. And so when the vaccines came out and the mandates were there, I put Jay on TV. We went together, we lobbied against them, the mandates, and we made clear that this is totally outrageous, unjustified on any grounds, on public health grounds, on any kind of grounds, and all the mandates should be dropped, all of them. And so that's the first point I want to make. And actually, you could take it further back than that. On all of these outrageous authoritarian moves around the pandemic, I was the first to call them out. Right at the beginning, the lockdowns, the mask mandates, all of it. I was the first, anyway, to really challenge it. People said I had blood on my hands and all that kind of stuff taken off YouTube, etc. Right from the beginning of the pandemic. Specifically, I want to say that the...
Let's give him another minute.
Yeah, we're going to...
I didn't realize we had
No,
a
you're
time
good.
limit.
No, Steve, we're going to give you a couple, and we're actually going to give you a couple more minutes here, okay? Because I know you're with us for a window, and then we're going to open that up for you guys to respond as well, okay?
Thank you. Just a couple of things. First of all, we need a broad definition of vaccine injury, I think, which includes all those people who lost their jobs as a result of refusing to take a totally unjustified, to comply with a mandate. All those, that's also injury. And we need to remember that and not let that slip away. I actually said this in the first week of my campaign. I went and stood outside the French Laundry to say it, that as governor, on day one, I will appoint a COVID Accountability Commission, and we will look into all of this with legal force, including criminal prosecutions where necessary, and we will make sure that we have a process to take care of people who've been injured in all different ways, economically, physically, their health, all of that. We cannot and will not forget it. I've been incredibly strong on this from day one, and I'll be incredibly strong on it.
Thank you, Steve. Stay with us, Steve. You some free. We're going to be able to make it all the way through, and I've got a couple more questions, but I'm going to give you a little bit more space right now. We're going to bring these over to 2 minutes.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Len.
How you doing, honey? Good to see you.
Very good, thanks.
Okay.
Sorry I can't be there.
We're talking about what would happen if I was in office with creating a better website or a better place for people who are vaccine injured to be able to list their injury. Steve just made a good point. You know, injuries can be a very big definition, and losing your job and your pension and things like that are definitely injury. And that happened to a lot of firefighters and people that just wouldn't do it. But more importantly, we have this other big, huge looming issue, and that is immunity to drug companies that are creating vaccines. Now, I don't understand if you've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old vaccines, why any immunity is needed. Because if you don't know by then if it's dangerous, then there's something wrong. So you have to have immunity time-barred legislation for these big pharmaceutical companies that make the most money and have no repercussion if something goes wrong. It's all about where the money is going to come from to pay for the people that are vaccine injured. And we have these massive, they were hustling her to get the talk that it might be from the Gardasil drug. So I have had, and I didn't know anything about it, my instinct was with immunity over Gardasil.
Let's go over to Daniel Mercury. Daniel?
I still think I have the better beard, but I'm going to capitalize on what Elaine just said when we talk about the immunity. That is one of the key problems, but it's something that the governor can actually do as creating a state agency along with the other commissions and boards that we have. When you look at the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act that was instituted by Ronald Reagan, yes, it illegally gave immunity to the pharmaceuticals and manufacturer companies, which again is unlawful. And what they did is they created the Office of Special Masters, which is then what they do is they take tax money and they put it into a trust that then anybody who's injured, we the taxpayers get to pay on the pharmaceuticals damages. So if they cause the damage, you get to pay on it. And that's also a violation of the 14th Amendment. It's also a violation of the state constitution under equal protection under the laws. Well, you don't have equal protection under the laws when the opposing party that caused the damage has immunity. So that's a problem here. So one of the things that the governor can also do with the commission that they can create is to prevent further taxation going into the trust that then would starve the pharmaceuticals so that they are personally held liable until they pay up to the people that they have actually damaged, and that goes along with the FDA. And if we don't hold that accountability, meaning we don't shut them down or prevent them from actually allowing for them to even permit their concoctions that they want to inject into us, or their medicinal medication that they claim is, true and trustworthy, then what are we doing here? Right? So again, what we come down to is that if you're a healthy person, you're a lost profit, and they need you to be sick. And under my administration, we're going to ensure that we narrow it down per the counties, so we get down to local levels that then can be administered properly to the people who have been injured with these pharmaceuticals, that again, the governor can actually ensure that they no longer allow for distribution into our state under the 9th and 10th Amendment of powers not delegated or the enumerated powers. This is how this works.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, Daniel Mercury. And Scott Shields.
My answer is going to be short here, but Steve, if you don't make it to 1 or 2 with me, you can be my double, okay? but anyway, I think there's times, and I heard somebody say this earlier, and I've said it before, that you need to work with the federal government and who's in the federal government that you can collaborate with and come up with solutions. Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr., obviously is head of HHS. It's the second largest budget outside of the military. It's a huge budget. He's in what I call, on my CV card on my website, you'll see it, the intersection of progress and tradition is fraught with alienation till success. He's in that intersection. He's got a lot of people on the pollers. He's got and he's doing a good job, in my opinion. In my opinion, everybody here, myself, should try to work very closely with Robert Kennedy, who was an attorney that sued corporations over and over and over and over again, legitimately, and then left and became friends with him. He didn't have emotion in it. It was intellect and heart to find a solution on how to take care of this problem. I'm not smart enough. I believe Bobby Kennedy is smart enough, and he's in the office that can make a difference for California and the people that have been hurt, and I know his heart's there. Personal opinion.
Thank you, Scott Shields. You pass that right down.
Scott made a comment there.
Yes.
About, he was saying if you make it to 1 or 2. Remember, this is a jungle primary for the governor race. So
that's right.
It doesn't matter party. It's irrelevant. It's the 2 top vote getters in the primary. Go to the ballot. Doesn't matter whether it's Republican, Democrat, or MPP.
Yeah. So good, so good.
Just a reminder.
Okay, so what we're going to do right now is, Steve, you've got about 8 minutes left with us. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have Louis Herms go next, okay? And then we're going to take an opportunity in this time for you to share. I want us to stay on the subject we're on, Steve, and I want you to, give a response to. We'll have Louis share really quickly. That'll be 2, and then we'll have Jennifer. Let's have you share. Okay? And then we'll have Steve respond to that before you go, Steve. Okay, Louis?
So, we think maybe it's possible if there was an actual pandemic, you wouldn't need to pay to advertise to get people vaccinated. Right? You think people might just be running as fast as they can to get vaccinated if it had efficacy? Is that possible? Right? Did you know they put almost $26 billion into advertising per year for the vaccines? Did you know the cable news networks were taking up to 70% in advertising? Did you know that you get paid, the doctors and the medicals, if you give them a COVID test? You get paid if you get a positive. Think about that. You get paid if you can enter them into the hospital. You get paid to give them remdesivir. You get paid to put them on an intubator, and then you get bribed as a family member money to sign off that they died of COVID for their death certificate. Is that a real pandemic? Would you really need to do that if there was a pandemic? Get your jab. Think about it. Never would happen. We need to be the education of California from the governmental standpoint. Be honest and transparent with what's really going on. And absolutely, we can create our own type of VAERS system. But the reality, we also have to understand what VAERS is. VAERS is the most highly underreported system out there. So if they tell you there's 100,000 prior to COVID that died, it would probably have millions. Based on my investigation, somewhere between 4 to 5% maximum are reporting. Did you see that number that Doug put up? From these pharmaceutical companies.
Amen. Terms. And Jennifer Hawks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Mr. Hilton. How are you? You're looking
great. Good to see you, Jennifer.
You're looking good. Well, the treasurer doesn't really make policy in the sense of what this question has to do with. So let me I'm going to use Steve. I'm going to use you as my example. I hope you don't mind. Steve Hilton gets in as governor, and I get in as treasurer. What's my job at that point? Number one, it's to align myself with Steve and make sure that his policies get pushed forward. And number two is to make sure that I manage the cash well. Because he ultimately will make the policies, and he will appoint a director of finance, and it's the director of finance and the controller and the treasurer that make the decisions for everything to flow out of. So independently, I can't create policy. I can suggest things, I can bring things to the table, I can be influential of the boards that I sit on, but I ultimately, that policy will be made a little higher up the food chain. But as a part of that administration, I will have a voice. That's how I will support what's going on here right now in regards to this money. Thank you.
Excellent, Jennifer. Jennifer, back to you. So I want you to piggyback off of what was shared. Kim, this is the part, if I've got time available, gosh, this is the piece, the MAHA leaders panel that I want to be a part of. So I'm going to pass it back to you. Why don't you share why?
Thank you so much. I want to bring together, I suppose, what you might think of as the two pillars of the MAHA movement: health freedom, which we've just been discussing, and healthy living. And just going straight off what was just said, it's particularly by Lewis, I think that the antidote to big pharma is natural food, and that combination of the two pillars of the MAHA agenda, I think we should be leading in California, because we have this incredible ag industry that grows the healthy food that we want people to be eating so that they can avoid chronic disease. We don't need all this medication if you live healthily, and so on. We should be world leaders in that. And I really am so excited that the whole MAHA agenda has taken off in our party. It's just so wonderful to see. I've been arguing this stuff for years. If you look at a book that I wrote in 2015 called More Human, Designing a World Where People Come First, and you look at I remember the first time I met Nicole Shanahan, and I gave her a copy of the book, and I said, Nicole, read the chapters on food and the chapter on health, and you'll see that that's the agenda right there, and we talked about it many times afterwards. But back in the day, when I was arguing all this stuff years ago, it was seen honestly as more associated with the left. And it's so thrilling to me that we are now the leaders, that the president brought in Bobby Kennedy, and now they're working as a team, and we're having absolutely revolutionary change, and it's a Republican administration making that happen is just so fantastic. And that's what we need to replicate here in California. And as governor, I will be absolutely focused on this, both parts of it, health freedom and healthy living. And so that we're all here together today and that we all really support this. We did a MAHA forum. It was actually a really great moment of consensus between us and everyone. And we're the leaders now in our party. It's absolutely magnificent to watch. And I can't wait to get in there and start driving this agenda forward in a really aggressive manner. Both parts of it. Health freedom, healthy living. California should be world leader on both of those.
Thank you, Steve. That's Steve Hilton. Now, Steve, stay with us for one more minute. This is important. So we're in San Joaquin, the breadbasket of California. And Jenna Gallardi is here with us right now from the Heritage Foundation. She's going to pull a question for you. And candidates, I want you to choose whether to respond to this question after Steve or the prior one. We're just going to kind of open it up and just keep this flow of conversation. So Jennifer?
The prior question was on what victims,
exactly,
how to address the injury, or this question.
Equivalent here in California.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Steve. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
As Kim, the Heritage Foundation, a Restoring American Wellness initiative that's taking on a lot of these MAHA issues. And because you brought up the food is medicine, the nutrition piece of it, agriculture is really that path forward to that. You can't have that unless you have healthy soil and healthy food. So, California with its environment, they say they want climate resistance, public sustainable food system, yet many small and mid-scale farmers make it nearly impossible to invest in regenerative, low-chemical, locally oriented farming. Permitting costs, limited access to local processing, and regulations written for industrial-scale agriculture. Farmers argue that California policy often penalizes diversification while favoring consolidation. What specific policy changes would you support to ensure California farmers can invest in regenerative, health-oriented practices, maintain control over their land and markets, and remain economically viable without being regulated out of existence by a one-size-fits-all rules?
Yep. It's a beautiful question. I mean, in a sense, the answer is the question, which is we've got to do all of that. And I spent a lot of time in our great ag areas, spent a lot of time in every aspect with farmers in the fields, with workers, with processors. I've seen every side of it for years now. I've been traveling the state. Number one, the basic water. We've got to get more water, and SGMA is a response to artificial restrictions on water. We don't want groundwater depleted. That was the reason for SGMA. But actually, if we have more surface water deliveries, that wouldn't have happened in the first place. And so an immediate thing that we're going to do when I'm governor is get rid of the biological assessments in the State Water Resources Control Board, which actually divert the water. That's what's diverting the water out into the delta to protect the smelt and the salmon or whatever, rather than through the irrigation channels sending the water south. So that's the first immediate change that we can make. We can increase deliveries almost overnight just by making that change through appointments to the State Water Board. Longer term, we do need to invest in infrastructure. As many people have pointed out, we have the same water infrastructure today for a population of 40 million as we had when we had 20 million. We've passed bonds to build infrastructure. It hasn't happened. So we've got to do a bunch of things there. One of the ones that's not discussed enough is actually a relatively simple one for infrastructure, which is completing the South Folsom Canal. That would enable us to take the watersheds of the Tuolumne River and the American River and put it into our irrigation system, which massively increases supply. In terms of labor, we absolutely have to get rid of these ridiculous restrictive rules that make it so hard for farmers to operate properly, and it actually hurts the farm workers. It's done in their name by unions, but actually things like the overtime rule, which has gone up from 60, go down from 60 to 40, are just totally destroying the livelihoods of many farm workers. They earn less rather than more, and it makes it much more complicated for farmers to bring the crops in when it's harvest time, and so that's something that we need to change. In terms of regenerative, I think that's exactly right. You've got this industrialized approach to it all, and so you've got this board of pesticide regulation, but they're not actually, it's incredibly dumb the way they're going about it. And the bureaucracy around it is a nightmare, the reporting requirements, they've got a one-size-fits-all approach, as you say, and the good news is that as governor, you can get in there, clear it all out, and put in there pro-farming people and policies that actually should, something we do want scale. We don't want one-size-fits-all in terms of the market either, but we can't be squeezing out the small family farms, and that's what's happening because of these cost pressures. The final one, very important, that isn't discussed enough, is just energy cost. Just the cost of fuel, electric, all these things, and then the CARB nonsense. Sorry, I've been going on with a long list of things we need to do. With CARB pushing for electrification of agricultural equipment, that's ridiculous. We just got to have a complete change, which is going to push us in the direction of exactly what you say, which is we are the home of the healthy food that we want people to be eating here in California and across the country and across the world. And instead of crushing it, we should be massively investing in growing it, and that's what I'll do.
Good. Stephen, stay with us. Stay with us right now. Can I bring in?
On another interview. I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, we're just about to pop over the farm. Hollenberg. So you'll have to come back and listen to this if you can stay for a minute.
I'll listen. Yeah.
All right, for 1 minute. David, now, this is a conversation you're going to have with Steve right now. So, Steve and the audience.
All right, Steve. We've had lots of conversations about agriculture.
Actually, pull that mic up close.
The one thing that I want to ask you is, on day one, will you drought regulations that are in effect?
Yes.
Why is this important? Because that's how the unelected officials control over the farmers. And so this is where a lieutenant governor does, and this is the number one thing I advocate for. Right now, 2030, they have their emergency drought regulations in until 2030, drought or no drought. Wow. And a governor has the right on day one to get rid of it. I've asked Steve this before. He said he would. I'm asking him again. He's saying he will. Yes. And I'm going to hold him accountable to this if he gets in. The other thing about this is I've asked Steve, if I don't win this, if I can have a seat at his table for agriculture. Steve?
Yes, and I'm delighted to say that, because that's what we've got to do. We've got to get, at the moment you've got these ideologues and bureaucrats who don't know anything about farming, they don't know anything about nature. It's all out of books or paper or theory or whatever. They actually don't understand. And so we've got to clear all those ideologues out and put in practical people who understand deeply. The people who care most about our environment, about nature, are people who live in it and work in it, ranchers, farmers. That's what we've got to get into all these agencies. As on drought, you're 100% right. It's a man-made drought. I'm sorry, a Democrat-made drought. It's artificially created in order to give them power over us, and it's got to go.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Elaine Kulati, you have not had an opportunity. Hey, Elaine, hold on. Have you gone and responded to the question yet?
No.
Okay, I just have to make sure I'm checking it. I have 2 hours.
We need Greta to talk about too. Don't forget.
All right, here we go. I have a question for the farmer.
Greta, let's have you go next.
Ready? Okay, first of all, I have a farm. I might be the only, except you. I farm 50 acres. About 10 is row vegetables, and believe it or not, out of 10 acres, we do about 2,500 CSA boxes a week in high season. There you go. It goes to our local schools. My water bill is not so bad because I have wells. My neighboring farmers with the same size farm, their water bills are between $10,000 and $15,000 a month, and they pay my water bill dinners. That's how they pay their water bills. So I want to just ask real quick, just about this. My idea has been that we dredge the Delta, which we're all going to see tomorrow. Is anybody here on board with dredging the Delta? All right. And filling the Salton Sea, anybody? And does that make any sense? And removing the Shaughnessy Dam. Are these good or bad? Because I don't know. But these are the suggestions that have been put forth to me by some of the best water experts in California, including Ed Ring. Does anybody here know Ed Ring? Ed Ring is a water policy writer here in Stockton. Anybody? Okay, well, these are the ideas that have come up, and these are the ideas as governor that I would look at seriously. The first is to dredge the Delta. Then what do you do with the water? How about a deep water port here in Stockton? Has anybody talked to Christine, who is your mayor? I know her very well. And I'm the only one that visited her right after the shooting to not talk about the shooting. I wanted to talk about economics of Stockton. For those of you who don't know, Stockton is in its second is because, hey baby, is because possible deep water ports in the country. Farmers cannot afford the Farm Bureau dues, and it's only when the rest of the world doesn't know what a pluot is. Large farming should fresh farm food on rail is 75% less than it is in any other mode of transport. Do a pay it forward, large ag will carry small farmed food across the country.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, there is nothing like having it really was. Now you've got candidates here who did not get to speak yet, so this is really important. So what I'd like to do is, why don't we go to Chris Bish, and then Greta, I'm going to And we're going to piggyback off of everything that's been spoken and let you pick it up from there. So
we're talking about California, California water, California farms. Well, the money that comes in, the regulations that come in, the budgets that come to California, a lot of it goes through Congress because we do control the power. We have the power of the purse. We control the money that's coming in. And what we've seen in the government in Washington, D.C., especially with members of Congress, not remembering that their duty is home, and it is to work with the farmers. We have to remind California water regulators that the water that is in California does not originate in California. It comes down through the Rockies. It flows to the ocean, and this is where national comes in, where my job in Congress is to make sure that we put the halt on California thinking that they have ultimate control, because these are national security issues. Food security, that is a national security issue. Water management, this is a national security issue. And as your representative in Washington, I will work with our governor.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. And you can pass that down. Just pass that down. We're going to work our way down there. Sean, Greta, we're going to have you go next, and then we'll have Sean Collinson go after that. So, Greta?
Okay, so this is definitely one of my areas of expertise. I really enjoy talking about this. Farmers are in deep trouble right now. It's not only the energy cost that is coming up with all the crises that we have around the world, and 70% of our oil right here in California is actually imported. Then we have the fertilizers. 90% of all the fertilizer that we use here in California is actually imported. All this synthetic fertilizer. So the price of food, the price is definitely coming up. So I want to give you a little bit of a statistic. In California, we get about 200 million acre feet of water a year. So we really are not in a drought. Only 25% of that our infrastructure can actually handle. So my goal as a governor of California is to ensure that we do have the storage facility, 1. 2, that we have a recycling system, and 3, desalination plants.
Thank you, Greta. Yes.
That's super important, that what she said, that statistic.
Then let's hold that.
200 million acre feet of water comes down in our Sierras or across the state, but we only have the capacity right now to handle 25% of it. Okay, but for example, Shasta Dam, we already have the money allocated to increase the height of it, and all we need is a little more infrastructure, and there's no drought, and we have all the water we need. We
As
just
it
have to
was
manage it a
mentioned
little bit.
before, the infrastructure is 40 years old, 60 years old, and here we are, population is growing, and we are not
That's an
investing in
important
it.
statistic. We have the water. We just need to build the infrastructure to manage it.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Well
good,
done.
Greta, so good. Excellent. And why don't we go, Sean, you're up.
Sean Collinson for Lieutenant Governor. The Lieutenant Governor's role is to work with the governor. So if it's Elaine Colati is elected as governor, I will work with her, Lewis. I will work aside Lewis to make sure that the number one thing for farmers, I'm speaking of farmers, I live in Los Angeles. I go out to Camarillo. The regulation is killing them. It's also killing small businesses. These folks are carrying California on their backs. Do certain parties want healthy, organic food? They do not. They want to do it a completely different way. They do not want the farmers to make it. So it's very important. I commend you for what you're doing as a farmer. As a farmer, that is very important. A lot of people spend times at farmers markets. We just have to have reasonable things happening in California. And I think that this election season, we are being educated. There's folks that are coming along doing that. I will work aside the governor to make sure that that happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. And E.B. Lynch.
Well, hello. You know, what I keep hearing is the same theme. Like Dr. Frank said, we have the water, it's just not being utilized. People say, oh, we have a homeless problem. Well, I say we don't have a homeless problem. We don't have a water problem. We don't have a money problem. We have an integrity problem.
Right.
We have lawmakers who make laws for themselves and their buddies. We have to dredge the swamp here in California. We need to get new blood in there who truly understand what's happening at the lowest level. The farmers and the small businesses are the backbone of California and our nation, and yet we treat them like they're throwaways. Well, as your Lieutenant Governor, I am going to fight to make sure that that stops. We have to make sure that people who are coming into the Senate, who are coming into the legislature, have integrity. How do we do that? We do the work of researching what they did, not what they say. Because people could tell you anything. But my job is to protect you and your interest. So I'm going to make sure that the commissions are filled by people with integrity. I'm going to make sure that whatever party, I'll work with them to elect people that have integrity. Because that's what we need to bring back to California. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, E.B. So good, so good. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of a roll call. Scott, you have not gone yet. That is correct. You've not gone yet. And Daniel, did you go yet on this question?
On farming?
What was that? Yeah, you did not go on this question. Okay, so I'm going to have Scott go, then Daniel, and I think we've hit everybody, right?
Farming. I think your rule was, though, if you win another question, you're not.
Yeah, no, choose one or combine them together, because we want to hit that last question, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to be heard, right? Sure. Okay, so let's do this. Scott, let's have you go, and then Daniel will have you go.
I'll be quick. Like Steve, and Steve, he's not on right now.
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone.
David, that was great, getting him to commit to you. He poached my lieutenant.
Great.
He poached my lieutenant governor guy. Okay, I just lost him. Are you two available? So, no, I've had the pleasure of talking to Edie and everybody here. Anybody that's a governor, Democrat or Republican, that's watching this show on the other debates should watch this. These are really, really sharp people. Myself, I guess I'm kind of sharp. But anyway, in the crypto area, we've set up a crypto commission, and finances do matter to solve California. A lot of people don't know crypto. I'm not saying buy it, I'm not saying sell it. We've got an 18-month rollout plan. We offered it to President Bush and David Sachs. I couldn't work with either one of them at the time. Not their fault, not my fault, very bureaucratic. I'm here in California. We can bring a lot of money here to solve a lot of the problems that all of you are asking about or that you know about. And I rely on all of you if I'm there, because a lot of brain trust here. Absolutely
Thank you, Scott.
fabulous.
Thank you so much. So good. And Daniel.
Well, I'm an amazing farmer. You know, I really love tequila, and I have this little lime tree in my backyard. I swear I almost killed it, but I worked really hard to keep it alive, and now I am amazing at keeping lime trees growing and proliferating. But no, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go over, clearly we hear lots of, it's not really, I like what Edie said, it's a integrity issue. We have the water, we have the ability to increase the infrastructure, we have all kinds of legislation that is blocking the ability. I'm just going to touch on real briefly, one of the things when I look in the state constitution, it talks about riparian rights, which is basically water rights for people who own farming and land that, you know, natural resources sort of flow through, that the state takes advantage of to then rechannel and move and shift elsewhere that they can actually siphon, and then it starves out that area. And one of the things that they do is they do it on purpose because they know that agriculturally, and just give me a moment before this goes, the buzzer goes, and I think it's important. Agriculturally are the weakest areas per se and the easiest to actually crush the economy, which is why one of the main reasons here in Stockton you also have you have another solar panel farm that wants to be created here with Meta Data Center, right? If they can crush you, they can economically, you know, shrink you, then it's easier for, you know, again, all these other unions and these corporatists to come in and buy up all the land of the natural resources that are rich in minerals and soil. So.
Good
well
point.
said. Well said, Daniel. Very good. Very good. I let that go on purpose because that needed to be heard. Now, we do have an. Oh, yeah. I think let's give Louis Herms 30 seconds and Jennifer. Let's give you 30 seconds because I know you guys both want to comment on this.
This is something that I have been looking at because this falls under bonds. We have passed bonds for water storage, but you know where the money goes? It doesn't go to the project. Do we have any of those water storages built? No. Just like our train to nowhere, we have the issue. That money goes out the door, and the next thing is in the hands of consultants, environmentalists, and everything. It gets funneled, and before you know it, there's no money left. Right now, 2033, I'm going back to the train thing, just to tie this thing around. The train bond that we put out in 2008 comes due in 2033. It is right around the corner. It is the same problem that we have with the water storage and everything else. Thank you.
So good, Jennifer. And let's go to Louis Herms. 30 seconds, Louis.
So just real quick, a healthy people historically are a profitable people. Healthy people absolutely have more babies. Healthy people are more prosperous. So where we're going to invest? Let's invest to have the best quality food we could have, and therefore we'll have healthier people, more prosper, and what a wonderful investment. I'm sure it'll pay tenfold.
So good, so good. All right. Guys, was that an amazing round? That was so good. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're now into media time, but we've got to get to this last question, okay? Dr. Kurt, you're up. Let's have you. You want, okay, here we go.
This is the last question of this section, then we're going to media.
Yes. Then I'll close it up, though.
All right. Wow. Got really quiet. As you all know, California has moved aggressively on gender identity politics in schools. Everyone's like, yeah, here it comes. Gender identity politics in schools, healthcare, and child welfare. And many parents believe the state is crossing a dangerous line. Critics point to proposals like SB 934, which they argue could expand the state's authority in cases where parents decline to affirm a child's asserted gender identity. Do you support any policy that would allow the state to investigate, override? This seems like a simple yes or no question. So this one should go pretty quickly. Do you support any policy that would allow the state to investigate, override, or remove children from their homes based on a parent's refusal to affirm societal or medical gender transitions? And if not, where do you draw a hard line to protect parental rights and prevent government intrusion into family decision-making?
Daniel Mercury, you were the last to go. We're going to give you up as the first now.
Okay. How much time do I get? 5, 6 minutes? No.
So let's give you funny. Let's do this, guys. Let's. You can do that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll let you guys do after this. We'll do closing statements.
Okay.
Okay. Go on.
Well, first off, no. I don't support any legislation, any furthering of any of these laws into transgenderism or infringing upon parental rights. The parental rights really comes from the laws of nature and of nature's God, which is written in the Declaration of Independence. So government doesn't have any right to actually infringe upon a parental decision with their child. And if anything, it's doing nothing but causing more harm to our children when you do that. And of course, when you look at the statistics when it comes to children who are getting put on hormone blockers and so on, they actually have a higher suicide rate. And, you know, it's unfortunate to placate and pander to this advocacy. So one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on, we have the Judicial Performance Committee that the governor can actually appoint the 11 bodies to begin investigations to start removing these judges who are.
Thank you.
That's just one thing.
Very good, very good. You can give that to Greta. Greta, we're going to have you go next.
This is definitely something that I'm really interested in. And one of the things that I was doing is I was looking at some of the kids that are in kindergarten that live in my neighborhood. And these kids come with all those rainbow things. And I'm wondering, why does a kindergarten kid needs to understand that is a crime, that is brainwashing our kids, and that is destroying our society? Kids that are 10 to 13 get to see equipment that they are used for male and females that want to change their sexes. As a governor of California, one of the things that I will do is I will hold the education for the curriculum. I will make the curriculum transparent, and I will open school of choice. I want to make sure that parents have the to a private school, because I didn't influenced by these policies. As a governor of California, I will make sure that kids have the right to attend to schools where they are not being indoctrinated.
Very good. Thank you, Greta. And let's go over to Chris Bish. Chris, the microphone. Thank you. Excellent.
Hey everybody, it's Christine Bish, candidate for Congress in California's 3rd Congressional District. Now, gender identity, it's not about gender, it's about sex. And you can't choose what it is. But there's something I did want to bring up, and this is at the federal level, where we have to have uniform birth certificates across the country. Because I want to read this real quick. California allows residents to change the gender marker on their birth certificate to male, female, or non-binary or X without a court order or medical certification. In California, you can choose as an adult what you want to change your gender to. We've got to get back to a uniform policy, national, that's based on sex and what you are born as a male or a female. There are no X's out there. There are no binaries. Well, maybe there's a couple, but those are accidents. But what I'm saying is we need to set a uniform standard, and this affects national security. When people can alter their identity at will, that is a security issue. And we cannot allow California to control it.
Thank you, Chris. You can hand that to Evie. Evie? Evie Lynch. Evie Lynch, you're up.
Miss Integrity.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? What was the question that we're answering?
Would you support any legislation that essentially refutes parental rights, and then where would you draw the line?
So, like I said before, parental rights are given by God, so I don't support any legislation that tells a parent that the government has more rights than they do when it comes to their children. So, no, I wouldn't support any legislation that took away the parents' rights. That's simple.
Okay, thank you, Evie. Very good, very good. Let's pass that over to Louis Herms.
I want to take this in another direction really quick. Anybody hear of AB 495? So the left was told that AB 495 was about protecting immigrants, and the right was told 495 is all about child sex slavery. Well, as a person that knows more about child sex slavery than almost anybody you might know, we were sold a bill of goods. What it is before AB 495, if you went into your doctor and said, I do not want to vaccinate my children. They would browbeat you and try to get you to do it. Now, or if you said, I want to gender affirm or I don't want to gender affirm, guess what? Now under AB 495, the nurse can go into your school, withdraw your child, try to change their gender, which is impossible, by the way, or vaccinate your child. We need to have the education so we know what's really going on and we're not buying the left or the right, because it's an illusion of choice, and it's very important for us to know what's going on.
Thank you, Lewis. Scott Shields.
Absolutely no. And Lewis is absolutely right, and why we need a California public broadcast system. So we can put Lewis on TV, Daniel on TV, E.B. on TV, David on TV, Elaine on TV in interviews when the press won't interview them. I have a gentleman here I got to give a shout out to right now. His name's Don Bahana.
Woohoo! We love you, Don. Woohoo!
He's a good friend of mine. He spent 25 years in jail. I'm working with him on justice reform. He's 88 years old. Came to this event from L.A.
Wrongly accused.
Everybody wrongly accused, by the way. Yeah, it's on my website if you want to read it. We did a whole analysis, and I've been supporting this guy big time because it's important. And nobody will talk about it because it was Michael Jackson's brother's
ex-wife.
Ex-wife.
Yes.
And this guy got railroaded, and he would not say he was guilty, and he could have got out in 5 years. Talk about integrity. He's got it. Read about Don Ohana, okay? It's important, and anybody here at Heritage, too.
So good, Scott. And I want to present you guys, one of the questions for the governor debate tomorrow will be on the prison system. So you might want to just do a little bit of digging, and we will bring in the example of Don Bahana. And we're honored, Don. We're honored to have you here. We've had many conversations together. I'm so glad that Scott introduced us, and you are a warrior. And I just got to tell you, he could be, Don, you could be bitter. We've talked about this. You could be resentful. You guys, he is so joyful. And what Don has is he lived 25 years. He's going to tell you what the prison system needs. He's going to tell you what's wrong. He is the key expert. Okay, and we're going to be talking to you more tomorrow, Don. All right, we're going to pop back over. Come on. So, Collenberg, let's get you going. David Collenberg, Lieutenant Governor.
Well, as you guys know, I have 6 kids. So anything that is passed that...
Say that again. What did you say?
I said I have 6 kids. So
I love it.
Anything that is passed, period, that takes my rights from me parenting my children how I want, those people should be in jail. Right. Straight up. So, anything that, whether it's gender affirming or male, female, there is only 2 genders, male and female. That's it. There should be no males in women's sports. There should be no males in women's bathrooms, period. And if there is, whoever allowed it should go to jail, straight up. Thank you.
Well said, well said. Let's get that mic down to Sean Collinson.
Sean Collinson for Lieutenant Governor. Look, the government should not be dealing with kids. They should not have any authority over our kids, period. I am a girl dad. I have 2 girls. Oh. I do not want biological males having in sports with my girls, any legislation. I'm a hard no, period. End of story. I don't even have a lot to talk about on that subject. As the Lieutenant Governor, I would sit as the President of the Senate to break crucial legislation that comes across my desk. Automatically, it's a hard no. I will break that tie in 2 seconds. There'll be nothing to discuss, period. So anyone going into our schools, talking to our kids, I have a 13-year-old son. I just want him to enjoy his life, be healthy, have fun. I don't want the government hands anywhere near it. Right. Period. Anyone discussing it with me, if you don't align, don't stand. We cannot stand together if you have any other opinion on that.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Jennifer Hawks.
California State Treasurer. Well, first of all, I know for a fact I'm a woman. I don't have to have anybody try to who I am. And you know something, this goes all the way back to Genesis 1, and nothing has changed. He made them male and female. Well, I can't affect what's going on in the legislature, and I can certainly support the initiatives of the governor. Where I'm going to have a voice is, one of the things that they've already pushed through is this community school. Have you heard about it? $4.1 billion has been added to the school systems to create these community hubs. Basically, it's 12 hours of influencing your kids. Yeah. So that's how they're kind of doing a roundabout. Well, how does it affect my office? Let me tell you how it affects my office. That puts pressure on the pensions, because now we're going to have to hire staff, healthcare individuals, and everything else that are going to be going back into the school system, which puts more pressure on the pension, and all of those pensions are already underwater. Most of them are sitting at about 70%. Under, or 70% funded. And anyway, that's how it's going to affect you and me as taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And let's pass the mic down this way. Elaine. Elaine Kulani. Ruh-roh. Get off your phone,
I'm
Elaine.
Elaine Kulani, and I'm running for governor. If I'm governor, I am going to work very hard on school vouchers. Why? Arizona's a school voucher state, $17,000 per student per year. School vouchers take away the money that goes into our state education system and give it to the parent to make a decision, which creates a competitive school environment. Nobody wants to go to a school where kids are mandated to get vaccines or other things, change their sex, whatever it is. You want control as a parent. I don't think it's really kind of an iffy question. My answer is straight up no. I would never pass any legislation that has anything to do with taking any kind of parental rights away. But it's a big state, and there is a lot of indoctrination. And it happens all the way to school and into college. So your kids are being indoctrinated and microdosed, and eventually the kid that you raised as a conservative is a little social communist. I have one. So the best thing to do is take the power and the money away from the schools, give it to the parents, and let them put their kids in a school of their choice, specifically one that's not indoctrinating your children. Why is my microphone?
Thank you, Elaine. Because your buzzer went off. Okay, so who is still remaining on this question who's not answered? I think everyone's, oh my gosh. We just made it through all the questions. Was that amazing? Yes, we did. A round of applause for these guys. Well done, you guys. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 30 seconds. We're going to go right down the road, boom, to the end.
What, 30
okay?
seconds for what?
Look, do you want to say something? Do you want to speak?
Yes.
Just
30 seconds. You got media waiting for you.
I came all the way down here to say some stuff.
Well, tomorrow we've got a debate too, and the election transparency piece of it as well. Okay? Oh, you can't be here tomorrow.
Just remind us who you are and what you're running for.
Well, hold on.
I'd really like to talk to you guys about what's happening with the governor's election, because we're in a bit of a, I'm sure you all saw the debate, right? Everybody saw the debate? All right. The Democrats are going to coalesce, no offense. They're going to coalesce. They're going to probably, I think Katie's out first, and that's about 15 points, and that will be divided by then 3 Democrats. Do you understand? And then, pardon? Well, hold on a minute, okay? The Democrats are going to coalesce. They've been at this a really long time. Act Blue has raised $1.5 billion. They outraise us 8-1. 8-1. You want to win this election, you have to have a middle podium. And I'm not lobbying for me. Vote for me, you vote for us. That's not the point. The point is, if Katie Porter drops out, which she will because they will find her a cushy job, her 15 points will be spread between Democrats. They are not no one voting for Katie Porter is going to vote for Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco. Do we understand that? Can we agree? Where do the 15 points go? To the other remaining Democrats. Then they get rid of Becerra. How do we know this? Because Katie went after 2 candidates. She went after Becerra and Steyer, but not Mahan. Why? Because Act Blue has put $10 million behind Mahan in less than 8 weeks. And they gave Becerra $650,000 to get him onto the debate stage after we lost Swalwell. They're going to coalesce. If we don't have a middle podium, they will win. You have to push, please, for polling and a debate stage. Polling and a debate stage. If I cannot debate, I cannot poll. If I do not poll, I cannot debate. It's a trap, and they're using it. Emerson polled Becerra at 10 points and gave him $650,000 to get him on the debate stage. Why? Because those points stay with the Democrats. They cannot control an independent podium, and they can't control the Republicans. They might be able to control Steyer. He's probably last to go, but he's going. Sure as the sun is coming up tomorrow, there will be a Democrat that gets through the primary. And now you have a 60% stronghold. If you want to win, you got to have an independent. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to touch on something that Elaine brought up that was really important. You all need to do a deeper dive into Act Blue. Okay, there's a reason why they have the money and how they're utilizing that money. But if you haven't seen Operation Clean Sweep 1, 2, and 3, I want you guys to watch that. That's at takeyourpowerbackshow.com, Operation Clean Sweep 1, 2, and 3. It'll show you how that money is being funneled into Act Blue. And they have been recently disclosing this over the past week, okay? They're utilizing what's the word I'm looking for? Look at where that money is going. Fraudulent mortgages is one of them as well. So the corrupt money is being utilized to fund corruption. Okay? That's what's happening in this state. So I just kind of wanted to put a little pin in that.
I just want to say that Act Blue received distributed $75 million to 180 small nonprofit NGOs, whatever they were. None of the money went to fire aid, but they are using our fire aid money to push Democrats into office. It is a big sham.
So, Elaine, thank you for bringing that up, and love you. Love your heart.
I really...
Incredible, incredible time today. We're not done. Who you are, what you're running for, and your call to action for the people. Okay? Your call to action for the people. Let's start with Greta Solorzano.
My name is Greta Solorzano, and I'm running for governor of California. Why am I running for governor of California? Because I see right now 70% of our oil is imported. Our water detriment. If you look at our refined oil, 40% of it is imported. If you look at our fertilizer, it's imported. The bottom line is that we're becoming dependent. Our water and our energy are controlled by other sources, and the energy and the water infrastructure is, if nothing else, for you to become aware and this globalistic society is going to come and destroy our economy.
Ding, ding, ding. Where's my 30-second bell? That was great, Greta. 30-second bell. All right, let's go. Let's go to Daniel.
Daniel Mercury, running for California governor. Why am I running? Because I'm tired of everything falling on deaf ears, right? There's no accountability, right? Why isn't anybody being investigated, right? No one's being prosecuted. We don't see anybody going to jail, and yet we keep perpetuating the same problem. So this is one of the primary reasons why I've jumped into this race. It's affected me, my families, my children, and you know, at the end of the day, we have a bunch of ignoramuses in. So what are we going to do about it? And this is why I'm up here. And I'm going to say this just before this goes.
Why don't you just go for it? Let me give you guys a minute each.
I'm going to say this, is that the NPPs here in the state of California have swelled to almost 7 million people now. And as the SOS, when I spoke to them, that's not even the most accurate number, which means both the Democrats and the Republicans have dropped, which they haven't publicized yet, which means this is one opportunity, I'll agree with Elaine, that we need to get an independent on that panel. And if we don't do that, then this state is going to really flip upside down, even more so than what it is now.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Lewis. Yeah, let's reset that clock. We're going to give him a full minute. We're just going to do a minute all the way through right now. Thank you so much. Lewis?
Lewis Herms for governor. Many of you have heard about the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, and what's going on there? Okay. Well, in order to get listed on the Southern Poverty Law Center's website, their hate map, you have to be a fighter. I've been the #1 target of the SPLC for 3 years running in California. It's documented. I'm the only one person listed 3 times in the whole country. Why is that? Because I've been fighting like crazy against child sex trafficking, the medical mafia, election fraud, and what I call WARF, the waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud that's over 75% in California. Is you have somebody that's willing to take the slings and arrows and have the courage. The evil parasites that have been holding us down for all this time. I'm here, and I will die on this hill for you and we the people. God bless you.
Yes, thank you. Sean Collinson.
Sean Collinson, I'm running for lieutenant. And I'm sick and tired of politics as usual. My why is bigger than me, because as a me, get an agreement that the people can live with. I can tell you what to expect today, but I can tell you if this panel was running California, we'd be a lot better off. Everyone on this stage should be proud of yourselves. I've been in a lot of panels. This may be one of the best panels I've ever been on.
Come on,
and it's an anomaly to me that Elaine Colati and Louis Herms, I don't know you, Greta, but I do know Louis, are not at this debate. That is pure sabotage by Act Blue. Whoever is creating that should be ashamed of themselves. The people of California should have an opportunity to listen to everyone. As a mediator, my goal is to make sure you're heard. They should be heard. I'm Sean Collinson, your candidate for Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. E.B. Lynch.
Well, my name is E.B. Lynch, and I'm running to represent you as your California Lieutenant Governor. Why am I in this? Because for me, this is a calling. I truly believe that right now, for such a time as this, God is calling up people with integrity. That's something that we haven't had before, and I think everybody feels the energy in the air that there's change happening. There's change happening because we are done with the politics of yesteryear. The politics that say you don't know how to choose for yourself, so I'll choose for you. They limit you to choices of 1 or 2, maybe. And it's not really a choice, because when you choice, your vote is taken away by having people who are not supposed to vote. We have to make sure that we stand up every single time. Does it take our breath away? Yes. We have to stand up for what is right every single time and vote in people with integrity. That's who I am. I'm a fighter, 24 years in the military. I worked in the prison system, a level 4 prison. I'm not afraid. I'll fight for you.
Thank you, Evie. Well said, well said. Jennifer Hawks.
Jennifer Hawks, California State Treasurer. I'm not a career politician. I have never run for an office before, and God willing, after this, I'll never run again. I am doing this because I did not grow up wealthy. I grew up dirt poor. And I have worked my fanny off my whole life, and so have my parents. I was able to retire in 2021 at the age of 61. Not too bad. And I did that through hard work and grit, honesty, and serving my maker. Amen. I'm back in this because I realize that the fiduciary responsibility of this state is in trouble, and I am determined to step into the game, grab the bat, and swing hard. I'm going to go to Sacramento. I'm going to figure out what's going on in that treasurer's office. I can tell you right now, it's probably not going to be very good from what I've found so far. And I'm going to be a part of the solution to get this state back on track again. Jennifer Hawks, California State Treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Christine Bish.
Christine Bish, candidate for Congress in California's 3rd Congressional District. I'm the only federal candidate on this stage. And I am running in the 3rd district. Why? Because California pushed us into Prop 50, where they are trying to gerrymander our state. They're trying to gerrymander every state in the country for one reason: to take back control of the House of Representatives, to put us into 2 more the agenda going forward, to stop the securing of the border. to take away national security, to starve our farmers, to corrupt our children, to make sure that we are not a secure nation. So the call to action here is, if you are in the 3rd Congressional District, I humbly ask for your vote. If you are not, you can go to bishforcongress.com. That's bishforcongress.com. You can volunteer, you can donate, you can make phone calls, you can help us share on social media. The fate of this country determines where we're going to be over the next 2 years, and you need to send a bish to Congress, and I'm just the bish to get things done.
That's good. Well done, Chris. And David Collenberg.
I'm Siskiyou County farmer David Collenberg. I'm running for lieutenant governor. If we don't fix the water in the north, we will not have water in the south. We're in the breadbasket of California right now. And if we don't elect a farmer to go fight for this, we're gonna go hungry. The government's gonna control our food. It's gonna happen. I'm the only candidate for lieutenant governor that my ballot designation is farmer. So when you guys go vote for a farmer. Thank you.
Well said, David. Thank you. Scott Shields.
Scott Shields, shieldsforgovernor.com. This is important. I put this out to Fox Media. I put it at the Epoch Times. I put it to Newsmax. I put it to CBS. I put it to ABC. And I put it to the other one, CBS. None of them have replied yet, and none of them will do it. I need Steve Hilton or Bianco, who are the 2 leading Republicans, to hold a debate with everybody that's running. I've met a lot of Democrats that, just like you as independents, that aren't on the top tier, that are as sharp as you, and they don't get a voice either. I'm one of them. Okay? We need a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday debate every night on one of these stations, with 8 people randomly chosen. And Steve Hilton and Bianco, you shouldn't be scared of anybody. The Democrats won't show up, I assure you, and that will get me the nomination as a Democrat, okay? Because the Democrat elites won't show up, but I met some really good Democratic candidates that you don't know about, just like nobody knows about this group, and you were right on the money. This is a sharp group.
Well said, Scott Shields. Thank you. And Elaine Kulati.
Okay, I'm back on the debate thing. This might take longer than a minute. I just want everybody to understand how this works. When you do a poll, the largest poll in the country is the UC Berkeley poll. They poll 3,800 people, but only for presidential elections. I'm ignoring the clock. There are other polls, Emerson, Madison McQueen. The average poll size is 100 to 400. Okay, so 5,000 people make a decision what the polls are in California, if you add it all up. And they wash and they repeat and they wash and they repeat. So none of this matters if you don't get the phone call and fill out the poll. That's how the polls are made. That's how the polls are made. What's worse is the questions on the poll say, do you like these Democrats or these Republicans? It does not say, do you like these independents? When a poll says we polled independents, that means they went to independent voters and said, do you like these Republicans or these Democrats? It's not the same thing. Do you understand?
That was Elaine. Excellent job. Can we give Elaine a hand and can we give our candidates a hand?
KaladiForCalifornia.com.
KaladiForCalifornia.com. There we go. All right, so let's actually pass that mic down, gentlemen. Let's pass it down to the end. Let's go all the way down that way. Yeah, fantastic. Is that everyone's phone going off? There's calls coming in because they're all listening finally. All right, hold right there, Ron. So Ronald, we're going to bring this back to the MAHA teams, okay? And what we're going to do right now is governor candidates, state candidates, you really did an amazing job. And I know Doug and I feel blessed to be here with you guys and the MAHA leaders. So let's start with you, Ron. I want to ask you your call to action to the governor candidates, then we'll go to Dr. Kirk Collins, and then we'll finish with you, Jennifer. Add Ron Owens.
What is your call to the candidates?
What's your call to action for the candidates?
Talk to the vaccine injured.
One more time, nice and loud.
Talk to the vaccine injured. I know a lot of them, and they're suffering every day.
Well said. Well said. And Dr. Kirk Collins?
I mean, my call more to the people. One thing that I didn't expect today from this group was it's not really about any of them. I think when you get into the top Democrat, the top Republican ones they give the vote for, it's like it's about them and their party and the people they serve. If somehow as we the people can understand it's us and it's a small billionaire ruling class that's been manipulating and turning, using religion, using sex, using politics, somehow, and I don't know the formula with the way we can, if we can take that power back somehow to the people, spend a little bit of time educating ourselves on these 6 or 12 issues that really matter, figure out how to educate the public on what really happens through this process. That's where we win, and God bless all you guys for setting your lives aside. I know you're putting a lot at stake to just be heard, knowing that the outcome is a long shot, but it matters just what we're doing here today. So I want to pray up over you guys and encourage you to have people praying for you, because you literally are going in trying to take darkness and bring light. God bless you for that.
Plato said that the penalty for refusing to get involved in politics is you end up being governed by your inferiors.
Well said. And Jennifer Gallardi.
I think, I'm preaching to the choir here, but the MAHA movement, or whatever it's going to be called moving forward, we might lose that moniker. We might not be Make America Healthy again when Kennedy goes. But I think people are awake to what it means to not be healthy and what it means to have the government almost force ill health on you. So I would just say continue to speak to that contingency. They're loud, they're powerful. I don't think it's going away. We might lose a couple of the battles, but it's a long war ahead to take back our health freedoms, to take back sovereignty over our children and over our health. Whether we like it or not, politics is a dirty game, and you do have to somehow pick sides and choose someone. So I think it's important to, speak to those people and give them a reason to choose you when it comes to the MAHA issues.
So good, Jen. Thank you. I'm going to let you hold on to that right now. So good. Doug, I'm going to go to you, and then we're going to close it up because they've got to reset this room for the banquet tonight. And we have a full house for the banquet, by the way, which is exciting. Doug, we've heard a lot today. We just get to be moderators, guide the conversations, and an expert. You being the expert.
At what?
Say that again? You got yours?
Yeah, go ahead. No,
let's go.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you being the expert, why don't you tell us, what is your call to action to the people and to the governor candidates?
Well, I guess if you're calling me an expert, I would say I don't know anybody who has traveled the country more than me for the last 5 years. I've been in 48 states, on the road 25 out of 30 days a month. And working with grassroots teams. And the lesson I've learned, to your point, is that the solution isn't top down. The solution is bottom up. Yes. And the solution is when citizens engage the local government, when citizens run for school board, when citizens become county leaders and whatnot. And that doesn't happen unless we have good elections. And so elections are kind of the elephant in the room, which is why that's what I focus on. I tell people all the time at the story with David and Goliath that Goliath wasn't the problem. Goliath was the elephant in the room. The problem was that the children of Israel were hiding in the hills. And it only took one person to stand and say, the battle is the Lord's, I'm going to take this on. And then once, the Bible says once David slew Goliath, then the children of Israel rose up and chased the Philistines out of the land. And that's where I think, if you were going to ask one piece of advice, I think that's what I'm so excited when you see, as I travel the country, I see people waking up. I see a political revival happening. Look at it right here. I see a spiritual revival happening. I see people realizing, hey, if we're waiting for the government to fix it, Trump, you might like him, you might not like him, but he can't even get the SAVE Act passed, okay? It tells you that's where we're at, okay? The solution is not top down. If you're waiting for Washington to fix it, if you're waiting for the state government to fix it, the solution's us.
Yep. That's right, yes. Ron.
That David and Goliath story is very key. He chose 5 smooth stones. He only needed one. And the key thing about him confronting Goliath, he ran toward him. He ran he ran toward him.
Amazing. MAHA leaders, amazing. Rich. So get ready, because tomorrow is a big day. From the breadbasket to the ballot box, it's all connected. We are taking our California back. A special mention to every single one of you guys. You are warriors. It is an honor to be on a stage with you. It's an honor to do this journey with you guys. So big thank you to our live streamers. Our live streamers who are with us all the way through the weekend and setting yourselves up to be here. Guys, we want to say thank you for being with us. A big thank you to our tech team, to Kenny and Molly and Carla and our entire team. I just got to say, guys, we are able to do this because of you. And I want to highlight again, Jennifer Hawks, thank you for helping fund this movement. Thank you for being a supporter. We're so grateful. Daniel Mercury, thank you for funding this movement. Thank you for supporting us. We're so grateful. Biblical Voting, Salt and Light, Dran Reese, you're not here with us, but we want to say thank you so much for supporting us, guys, and vote your biblical values. Go to that website. We're going to be showing that all throughout the weekend. And then the Farmers United PAC, you guys, they built this stage for us. This was a gutted room. We had chandeliers, which was awesome, but they put in the time. Robert Solari, who worked with our entire tech, I think he's had an hour's sleep, guys, from last night. No joke. I mean, these guys, amazing. Just the Farmers PAC, you guys, thank you for supporting us. And last but not least, we got Chris Bish. Chris Bish was an awesome funder too. Great supporter. Chris, thank you for helping fund this movement. And for all of you that participated, our live streamers, you guys coming here, supporting us by purchasing Take Our California Back t-shirt. You guys go get your t-shirts today. They're at the back of the house. And you guys get a t-shirt to take with you. Wear it for sure. So we want to say again, and I'm going to sit down with these guys and be right with them. I know. Thank you guys. We love you so much. And you know, I'm going to pray us out before we go right now. We're just going to close out and pray. I'm going to encourage you. And by the way, one person I didn't mention that I need to mention is Michael Wayman. I see you back there. The big old bus. Can we give him a hand? He has helped fund this movement. You want to support Michael's bus. He's awesome. Dr. Sarah Sun Lu as well as a great supporter of the Take Your Power Back show. We love you guys. So let's bow our heads for a second. You know, I'm not going to say bow your heads. Lift your eyes to heaven. Lift your eyes to heaven. Look up. Look up. Father, we come to you. You are the provider. Father, you give us the soil, you give us the seed, you give us the food, the water, the nourishment, you give us the oxygen. Father, you give us everything we need to be sustained. You give us your word that sustains us. You give us hope, Father. And for all those, God, right now that experience or are experiencing weariness in this country, you say, Father God, that there's no rest for the weary, but those that rely upon you, Father, you will allow them and your time to soar on the wings of eagles. So we do not need to be weary because you will refresh our souls. So Father, we pray that you bless these candidates right now, that you bless them, you touch them from the crown of their heads to the soles of their feet. We pray for these MAHA leaders. We pray for the audience here and our listeners, our live streamers. We pray, Father, that you begin to give them downloads from heaven. You give them a keen ear to hear your voice, eyes to see what you call them to see, and that heart afresh to restore them fully into alignment with you for me, for all of us today, Father. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, seek my face and pray, and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear their voice. I will forgive their sin and heal their land. And we're praying for the healing of California. We love you and the healing of this nation. We praise you in Jesus' name. We all say, amen. Welcome to day one. We'll see you tomorrow. Day two. We love you. God bless you. 8:30 a.m. Stockton.
Good job. Good job. Wow.
I want to get a picture with you.
Let's do it.
Something doesn't feel right.
Let's go by our table.
Across California, people are starting to question the systems meant to our food supply, our health. It's all connected. And now, people are coming together to understand it. Leaders are stepping forward. Conversations are happening. People are listening, thinking, engaging again. Because the future of California isn't decided for the people. It's decided by them. It's time to take our California back to a better future, uniting to champion election transparency, giving power back to the people. From ballot box to breadbasket, trusted elections keep America fed. It is all connected.